The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly, cold and silent, yet filled with invisible tension. In a distant star system, a fleet of alien vessels hovered near a dim blue planet. The creatures aboard had waited for centuries for a signal of peace. They were eager to meet the beings of this world, confident that diplomacy would bring them new allies, new opportunities, and perhaps, new power. Little did they know that their expectations were about to shatter in ways they could not imagine. The lead alien ship, massive and dark, emitted a quiet hum. Its hull gleamed under the distant light of a dying sun. Inside, the command room was alive with movement. Shadows of creatures with elongated limbs and iridescent skin moved across the room, adjusting controls and communicating through sharp, clicking sounds. They spoke in a language foreign to any human ears, yet precise, urgent, filled with anticipation. They had intercepted a faint signal weeks ago, an invitation, a gesture of trust. They expected a peace ship, something small, unarmed, carrying diplomats, scholars, or emissaries. On Earth, far from this quiet alien hub, the preparations were different. Deep inside a secret orbital station, the human vessel Doombringer roared to life. Its hull was black as a void, edges sharp and angular, almost as if it had been designed to cut through the silence of space itself. Within its walls, humans moved with calm, disciplined efficiency. No one spoke loudly, no one wasted a word. Every gesture, every motion had purpose. Captain Elena Drake stood on the command bridge, her eyes scanning the holographic displays. Her face was calm, almost cold, but her mind raced with anticipation. Earth had never sent a ship like this beyond its own system. This mission was different. It was not about diplomacy. It was not about negotiation. It was about showing the galaxy a force they could not ignore. She ran a hand over the console and activated the final sequence. The ship responded immediately, thrusters igniting, systems aligning, weapons coming online with quiet efficiency. Meanwhile, the alien fleet detected a sudden pulse approaching from the outer rim. Their sensors, designed to detect peaceful approaches, registered the incoming vessel as a mere transport. "It is small, weak," one of the alien commanders hissed. "It carries no threat." Their confidence grew. They prepared their ceremonial welcome, projecting messages of peace, folding flags of truce, and initiating communication channels. In their minds, first contact was always calm, always courteous, always under their control. But the human ship moved differently. It was silent, but its energy readings were immense. It moved with a strange rhythm, almost like it knew the fleet before it arrived. Captain Drake watched the approaching ships with sharp focus. A small smile crept across her face as she bypassed the usual communication protocols. No words of peace would be exchanged. Instead, a pulse of energy, barely visible, ran across her controls, activating the first of many surprises hidden within the ship's hull. Back in the alien command room, the first communication ping reached them. "Greetings," the aliens expected to read, "We come in peace." But instead, their screens flickered with strange, incomprehensible symbols. A low, rumbling vibration passed through their ships, unsettling their systems. Crew members glanced at one another nervously. Something was wrong. The calm they had expected was gone. Elena's voice echoed quietly over the bridge, steady and precise. "Prepare for final approach. Let's see how they react." She leaned over the console, her fingers dancing across the touch panels. Every system of the Doombringer hummed with potential energy, waiting for the right moment. Her plan was simple: let the aliens believe this was a diplomatic encounter, then reveal the true purpose of the mission. It was not just intimidation, it was a message the galaxy would never forget. The alien fleet sent out a small exploratory drone. It moved like a shadow, sleek and cautious, toward the human ship. At first, nothing happened. Then, the drone's sensors overloaded. Lights flashed wildly. The drone spun out of control, colliding with one of the alien ships. Panic spread across the command room like wildfire. Crew members barked orders, but their efforts were too slow. The human vessel was unlike anything they had ever faced. Its speed, precision, and silent menace were beyond their understanding. As the distance between the human ship and the fleet closed, a strange feeling settled over the aliens: unease, fear, a deep instinctive warning. Captain Drake observed the unfolding chaos with detached satisfaction. She had trained for this moment for years, yet even she felt a thrill at the magnitude of what was about to happen. The fleet had expected peace, but Earth had sent doom. Without warning, the human ship emitted a low-frequency pulse that rippled across space. It passed through shields, hulls, and systems with effortless precision. Alien vessels shuddered, alarms blaring. For the first time, the creatures realized that their assumptions had been fatal. They had waited for diplomats. They had prepared for etiquette. Instead, they had been greeted by a force designed to erase expectation, designed to instill dread. And as the Doombringer closed the final distance, its dark hull reflecting the dying light of the distant sun, Captain Drake whispered, almost to herself, "Let them learn why humans are feared across the stars." The moment stretched, silent but heavy, as every alien crew member faced the truth. The peace they had awaited would never arrive. Only doom had come. The first wave of chaos began, and the stars themselves seemed to shiver. The alien fleet had scattered in panic, but their fear was only beginning. Every ship's sensors were overloaded, their systems screaming warnings they could barely comprehend. In the middle of the chaos, the Doombringer glided silently, almost like a shadow that devoured light. Its black hull seemed to absorb the surrounding stars, leaving the aliens disoriented and uncertain. Captain Elena Drake watched the screens carefully. Every alien move was anticipated, yet nothing could prepare them for what was coming next. She activated the ship's stealth array, making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. The aliens thought they were regrouping, that they could rebuild some semblance of order, but the humans were already moving inside their formations. In one of the alien command rooms, Commander HFY Lar slammed his clawed hands on the console. His eyes, like molten silver, scanned the battlefield. "This cannot be," he hissed. "They should not have such power. They should not even be here." The words sounded hollow, even to himself. The alien officers around him whispered urgently, exchanging nervous glances. Confidence had turned to disbelief, disbelief to terror. Meanwhile, inside the Doombringer, humans moved with mechanical precision. Crew members tapped controls, monitored alien communications, and adjusted weapons. They were calm, almost cold, yet the tension was palpable. Every second mattered. A wrong move could be deadly, but Captain Drake had trained them for this. "Keep formation," she ordered, her voice smooth and commanding. "Let them panic. Let them feel the weight of what they underestimated." The first strike came suddenly. Alien vessels had begun firing weak energy pulses, trying to disable the Doombringer before it reached their main fleet. Each pulse bounced harmlessly off the ship's reinforced hull. Captain Drake didn't even flinch. She tapped the screen, and in response, a series of energy beams shot out from hidden turrets, silently slicing through the nearest enemy ships. Within moments, several vessels were torn apart, drifting as lifeless shells in the void. Commander HFY Lar's crew screamed in panic. "Target them. Focus all weapons," he ordered. But the Doombringer moved faster than they could aim. Every evasive maneuver was calculated, precise, and deadly. Human technology, long considered primitive by other civilizations, now revealed its true strength. Each alien ship that tried to retreat was intercepted, disabled, or destroyed. A young human officer, Lieutenant Kieran, monitored the alien transmissions. "Captain," he said, voice tense, "they're trying to communicate. They're sending messages, begging for ceasefire." Elena's lips curled into a small, almost amused smile. She tapped a command. The transmissions continued, repeating the same words, desperate and frantic, yet the humans ignored them. This was no negotiation. This was a lesson. A warning. In the alien fleet, fear became chaos. Ships collided as crews panicked, trying to flee. HFY Lar's command room trembled with every impact. Officers barked orders that no one could follow. Their culture, built on hierarchy and discipline, was crumbling before their eyes. The humans were not merely fighting, they were teaching a lesson they would never forget. Back aboard the Doombringer, Captain Drake monitored the battlefield with cold efficiency. Her mind was already planning the next moves. She could have destroyed the entire fleet in minutes, but patience was part of her strategy. Fear, confusion, and despair were more powerful than brute force. And the aliens were feeling it. Every signal she intercepted revealed growing panic, a realization that their assumptions had been deadly wrong. Suddenly, one alien ship broke formation and headed straight for the planet below. Its systems were damaged, and it could barely maintain control. Captain Drake leaned over the console, observing it silently. "Let it go," she said softly. "Let them see the futility of escape." The ship descended, shaking violently, while the aliens watched helplessly from the remaining fleet. The Doombringer's presence had changed everything. The aliens had expected peace, but instead, they faced a force beyond their comprehension. Stories of human warships had circulated in whispers across distant systems, but no one had believed them. Now, the truth was undeniable. Humans were not weak, and Earth was not alone. The galaxy would remember this day, and the memory would bring both awe and fear. As the Doombringer hovered above the remnants of the fleet, Captain Drake issued a single command. "Stand down weapons. Hold position. Wait for them to understand." Around her, crew members exchanged glances, silent yet aware of the historic moment. They had entered a galaxy that underestimated humans for centuries. And now, humans were no longer a question, they were an answer. Somewhere in the alien command structure, Commander XY realized the magnitude of his failure. His people had waited for peace, and instead, they were met with doom. He felt something he had never experienced before: true fear. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and the Doombringer had proven why. In the silence that followed, only one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The remnants of the alien fleet drifted in disarray, but fear alone could not save them. Commander XY stared at the viewscreen, his claws gripping the edge of the console. Every ship they had sent, every plan they had prepared, had crumbled under the silent shadow of the human warship. And yet, he refused to give up. He would not surrender. He could not. "Activate secondary weapons," XY barked, voice sharp. "We cannot fight them directly. Use everything we have. The humans must pay." Alien engineers scrambled, connecting makeshift energy cannons and deploying defensive drones. Even in chaos, the alien mind sought structure, a way to strike back. But they were unprepared for the next human move. Below the orbiting battlefield, the Doombringer remained calm, almost eerily still. Inside, Captain Elena Drake monitored every movement with precision. Her crew worked silently, anticipating every alien maneuver. She had expected resistance, but she had also planned for it. The humans were never just fighters, they were strategists. And in this game, strategy would win where strength alone failed. A sudden flare lit the void. Alien ships had launched a concentrated volley of plasma missiles toward the Doombringer. Alarms blared across the human ship, but it was all part of the plan. Elena's fingers danced across the console. The missiles slowed, diverted, and detonated harmlessly against the ship's reinforced shields. In an instant, hidden turrets on the Doombringer fired precise counterstrikes. Alien vessels exploded silently, leaving only drifting wreckage behind. Lieutenant Kieran leaned closer to the holographic display. "Captain, they're trying to regroup near the asteroid belt. Looks like they want to use it for cover." Elena nodded. "Let them hide. Let them think they have a chance." Humans did not chase blindly. They let fear do the work. The aliens believed in numbers, in strategy, in technology, but they had not counted on instinct, precision, and the element of surprise. Commander XY clenched his jaw. "Divert power to propulsion. We must escape to the inner system. They cannot follow us there." But the Doombringer already anticipated this. Hidden sensors detected every movement before it happened. As the alien ships sped toward the inner planets, the humans deployed a sequence of gravitational disruptors. The asteroids themselves seemed to rise and move, creating a deadly maze. Alien ships collided, shields failing, engines burning out. Chaos multiplied. Inside the Doombringer, Elena's calm face contrasted sharply with the carnage displayed before her. "They cannot adapt fast enough," she said softly, almost to herself. Her words were not meant for the aliens. They were a reminder to her crew. Humans had trained for this, prepared for centuries to survive the galaxy's worst nightmares. And now, their enemies were learning the hard way. But even in defeat, the aliens were dangerous. A rogue ship broke through the asteroid field, targeting a small human support vessel orbiting a nearby moon. Elena's eyes narrowed. "Not on my watch." She tapped a sequence, activating the ship's long-range weapon. A beam of concentrated energy shot through the void, striking the rogue alien ship before it could fire. It disintegrated instantly, leaving only a trail of drifting debris. Back in the alien fleet, panic had turned into desperation. HFY's officers whispered of retreat, of surrender, but the commander refused. "No," he growled. "Humans will not see us weak. We will survive, even if it kills us all." But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. The Doombringer had changed everything. The aliens had underestimated humans, and now they were paying the price. Meanwhile, a smaller group of alien vessels attempted a final maneuver. They formed a tight formation, aiming to overwhelm the Doombringer with a coordinated attack. Elena observed them carefully. "Let them come closer," she instructed. "Closer." Perfect. Hidden energy fields flared around the human ship, forming a nearly invisible barrier. The alien ships entered the trap. In an instant, the Doombringer unleashed a controlled pulse, disabling engines, shields, and weapons across the entire group. They drifted helpless, frozen in the void. Captain Drake allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Humans had come prepared not just to fight, but to dominate. The aliens had expected a peace vessel, and they had received a nightmare instead. Every move, every strike, every calculation had led to this moment. Complete control of the battlefield without unnecessary risk to her crew. As silence returned, broken only by the quiet hum of the Doombringer, Elena knew the galaxy would never forget this encounter. Alien civilizations would whisper of the day Earth sent doom instead of diplomacy. They would remember the black shadow that moved silently across the stars, and they would learn to fear humanity. In the distant command room of the surviving alien fleet, HFY stared at the wreckage floating in space. His voice was barely a whisper. "We underestimated them." His officers nodded, fear etched into their features. For the first time, they understood that humans were not just another species in the galaxy. Humans were predators, strategists, and warriors, and they would not be ignored. Captain Elena Drake turned from the view screen, addressing her crew. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "We've shown them what humans are capable of. Next time, they'll think twice before challenging us. Remember that." Around her, the crew nodded, silent but resolute. The Doombringer was more than a ship, it was a warning, a message to the galaxy. Earth does not negotiate weakness. And far above the shattered alien fleet, the human warship waited, silent and patient, ready for whatever came next. The shattered alien fleet was only the beginning. Far beyond the battlefield, deep inside a massive alien stronghold, the surviving commanders gathered. Commander HFY stood before a holomap of the sector, his eyes burning with frustration and fury. Every strike the humans had made was precise, surgical, almost mocking in its perfection. The Doombringer had shattered not just their fleet, it had shattered their confidence. "We cannot fight them head-on," HFY growled. "Their technology, their strategy, it is beyond anything we have faced. But we are not defeated. We are not finished." The Alien Council murmured in agreement, their voices trembling, but determination shone in their glowing eyes. They had underestimated humanity, and that mistake had nearly cost them everything. Now, they would adapt. In orbit above a desolate moon, the Doombringer floated silently, waiting. Captain Elena Drake observed the remnants of the alien fleet through her viewing screen. Ships drifted like broken pieces of a puzzle, scattered and helpless. She could almost feel the fear emanating from the surviving commanders, a quiet, almost palpable hum of desperation that pulsed through their communications. "Captain," Lieutenant Kieran said, pointing at the screen, "they're moving again. It looks like they're regrouping and preparing something new." Elena's sharp eyes narrowed. "Good. Let them come. Let them think they have a plan." She leaned forward, her fingers brushing against the console. "We'll be ready." Deep in the alien command hub, engineers worked frantically. They were attempting to repair what remained of their fleet, but time was against them. Every human maneuver had been anticipated and countered. HFY knew that to face the Doombringer again, they could not rely on standard weapons. They needed something more, something unpredictable. "Prepare the relic," he commanded. A hush fell over the room. "The weapon that was buried for centuries. Bring it forth. If humanity wants war, we will show them a war they cannot ignore." Alien assistants moved swiftly, retrieving a device hidden within the core of their stronghold. It was enormous, ancient, pulsing with energy unlike anything the galaxy had seen in centuries. Its purpose had been lost to time, and its power was dangerous even to those who wielded it. Meanwhile, aboard the Doombringer, Elena sensed a shift in the alien energy patterns. Sensors picked up unusual readings, vibrations that did not match known alien technology. "They're preparing something," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "Something big. Brace for impact." Her crew tightened their grips on consoles, monitoring every pulse, every signal. Humans did not fear the unknown, they calculated it, anticipated it, and prepared to counter it. Back in the alien stronghold, HFY activated the relic. A low, ominous hum filled the chamber, vibrating through the hull and shaking the control room. Energy spiraled outward, radiating across the nearby systems. "This will make them pay," HFY whispered, almost reverently. "They will learn that humans cannot dominate without consequence." Alien engineers exchanged nervous glances, knowing the weapon was powerful, yet fearing it could backfire even on them. The Doombringer moved closer to the surviving fleet, unaware of the relic's full capabilities. Captain Drake watched the approaching alien vessels. "They're desperate," she said quietly. "Desperation is dangerous, but predictable." Her hand hovered over the ship's weapons array, ready for anything. Humans thrived under pressure. They had faced threats from countless corners of the galaxy, and each had been met with courage, strategy, and precision. Suddenly, the energy readings spiked. Sensors flared with warnings. "Captain, something massive is powering up." Lieutenant Kieran shouted. The entire bridge vibrated as a strange, pulsing light filled the screens. The aliens had unleashed the relic, an ancient weapon of unimaginable power. Space itself seemed to react, shimmering and warping around the energy field. Elena's eyes narrowed. "Hold steady," she said calmly. "Adjust shields. We'll see what they think they can do." The Doombringer systems hummed with readiness, shields adapting in real time, weapons on standby, engines prepared to outmaneuver anything the aliens could throw at them. For the first time, the aliens hesitated. Their relic was powerful, yes, but they had no idea how humans would respond. Their calculations, based on centuries of assumed human weakness, were now irrelevant. And somewhere in that uncertainty, fear began to rise again, stronger than ever. The first pulse of energy struck. Stars shimmered unnaturally as the relic unleashed its power. Alien ships were thrown violently off course. But the Doombringer moved with uncanny precision, twisting and adjusting in the midst of the chaos. Captain Drake smiled faintly. Humans had faced threats far worse than ancient relics. They survived, adapted, and triumphed. As the battle escalated, one truth became clear across the void. Humanity was not only a force to be reckoned with, it was a lesson in unpredictability, strategy, and survival. And the aliens, who had awaited peace, were learning that lesson the hard way. The relic pulsed with a blinding light, filling the void with waves of energy that distorted the stars themselves. Alien vessels trembled, alarms blaring, systems overloading. Commander HFY's eyes gleamed with both fear and determination. "Keep it steady. Target the human warship." But even he knew, deep down, that this weapon, for all its ancient power, might not be enough to overcome what they faced. Above the battlefield, the Doombringer moved like a ghost, silent, calculating. Captain Elena Drake watched the readings spike, sensing the weapon's power, yet she remained calm. "Divert energy to shields and thrusters," she ordered. "Prepare countermeasures. They are about to learn why humans survive what others cannot." Her crew moved like a well-oiled machine, adjusting systems, calibrating weapons, and preparing for the strike that would turn the battle in their favor. The relic released its first massive pulse. Space itself seemed to ripple as the alien fleet shook violently. Ships collided, shields failed, and explosions erupted across the field. Some vessels were completely destroyed, others spun helplessly, out of control. But the Doombringer dodged and weaved through the chaos, its shields holding steady. Captain Drake's hands flew across the console, anticipating every pulse, every attack, turning the alien's weapon against them. Lieutenant Kieran pointed at the screen, voice tense. "Captain, some of their ships are trying to escape toward the inner system. They'll regroup if we don't stop them." Elena's lips curved into a faint, determined smile. "Then we'll make sure they cannot. Deploy pursuit drones and interceptors. No one leaves without consequence." From hidden compartments, the Doombringer released dozens of small, fast-moving drones. Each one was designed to disable, disrupt, or destroy enemy systems with precision strikes. They shot through the battlefield like streaks of light, disabling engines, cutting power lines, and causing havoc in the alien fleet. HFY's panic intensified. "Contain them. Destroy the drones," he barked, but the creatures were too slow, their movements too predictable. Humans had calculated everything, even the desperation of their enemies. The relic flared again, an enormous pulse spreading outward. It struck some of the alien ships, throwing them into uncontrolled spins, but the Doombringer had anticipated this. Captain Drake tapped a hidden command sequence. Energy fields from the Doombringer reflected the relic's pulse, redirecting it toward the nearest alien vessels. The effect was devastating. Ships erupted in silent explosions, leaving nothing but drifting debris. HFY's voice broke as he shouted orders, but chaos had taken control. The fleet was fractured, disorganized, and terrified. Even with the relic, they could not predict the humans' next move. And humans were not fighting blindly. They were adapting, striking with speed, precision, and intelligence that the aliens could not match. Amid the chaos, one alien ship attempted a desperate maneuver. It accelerated toward a nearby moon, aiming to use it as cover and launch a hidden counterattack. Elena noticed instantly. "Not today," she whispered. She activated a long-range energy beam, hitting the ship before it could reach the moon. The vessel disintegrated in a brilliant flash, leaving only empty space behind. The relic, ancient and powerful, continued to hum. But humans had found a rhythm, a way to counter every pulse, every strike, every unexpected twist the aliens threw at them. Captain Drake's eyes scanned the battlefield, calculating the final moves. "Prepare the Doombringer's main weapon," she said calmly. "It's time to end this." A massive energy cannon, hidden within the hull of the Doombringer, charged silently. Its hum was low, almost imperceptible at first, then growing louder, a deadly promise. Elena tapped the firing sequence. The beam shot forward with precision, striking the relic directly. The ancient weapon shuddered violently, then exploded in a wave of energy that threw the surviving alien ships into chaos. Engines failed, systems went offline, and debris rained down across the void. Commander HFY screamed in disbelief. His most powerful weapon, buried for centuries, destroyed in moments by a single human ship. Around him, his surviving officers cowered, realizing the full extent of their defeat. Humans had not only survived, they had dominated, showing strategy, intelligence, and power beyond anything the aliens had imagined. On the Doombringer's bridge, the crew remained calm, despite the destruction surrounding them. Captain Drake turned to her officers. "This is only the beginning. Let them remember who humanity is." Her voice was steady, resolute. Humans had shown the galaxy a new reality. Earth did not negotiate weakness. Earth did not surrender. Earth struck with precision, and humans were not a force to challenge lightly. As the debris of the alien fleet drifted silently through the void, the Doombringer hovered above, black and silent, a ghostly shadow over the remains of arrogance and assumption. The aliens had awaited peace. They had received doom. And now, the galaxy would whisper about this day for centuries to come, remembering the ship that changed everything, the ship humans called Doombringer. Far above, stars shone coldly, but one truth burned brighter than any sun: humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. The remnants of the alien fleet scattered across the void, battered and broken, but Commander HFY refused to surrender. He floated in the command room of the last surviving vessel, his claws tapping the console in frustration. "Humans, they were not supposed to survive this," he hissed. His voice was sharp, trembling with anger and fear. Around him, officers whispered nervously. For the first time, even the strongest among them felt true dread. Far above the battlefield, the Doombringer hovered silently, its black hull absorbing the faint light of distant stars. Captain Elena Drake observed the scattered alien ships through her viewscreen. Her expression was calm, almost serene, but inside, her mind raced. Humans had won this engagement, but HFY was still alive. And she knew that desperation could make the alien commander dangerous. More dangerous than any technology or weapon they had faced so far. "Captain," Lieutenant Kieran said, pointing at the screen, "they're moving again. Small groups are trying to retreat, but some are heading toward the outer sectors. It looks like they're regrouping." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Let them think they have a chance. Desperation is a weapon if we use it correctly. Prepare intercept drones. We will follow them. Quietly." Humans did not rush blindly, they calculated, waited, and struck at the perfect moment. Commander HFY had no intention of giving up. "Activate stealth drives. We will hide in the shadows, repair what we can, and strike when they least expect it," he ordered. Alien engineers scrambled to follow the commands. The relic had failed, but they still had numbers, speed, and cunning, or at least what they believed was cunning. HFY's mind was sharp, but it had not accounted for humans' adaptability, their ability to turn fear into strategy. In the Doombringer, Elena sensed the shift. Her sensors picked up unusual energy fluctuations from the alien ships. "They're trying something," she murmured. "Let's see what they think they can do." Her crew moved with precision, analyzing patterns, predicting movements, and adjusting weapons. Humans were patient hunters. They waited for their prey to make mistakes before striking. The aliens launched a sudden strike. A small, damaged ship emerged from the asteroid field, heading straight for a human supply vessel. Plasma bolts fired from hidden turrets, but the Doombringer's energy shields absorbed the impact effortlessly. Elena's hand tapped a series of commands, and a hidden interceptor drone shot forward, colliding with the alien ship and disabling its engines. The vessel spun helplessly, drifting into the void. HFY roared in frustration. "They anticipate everything. How can they see through every move we make?" Officers whispered about human instincts, their uncanny ability to read situations and act faster than any alien logic could predict. They had fought humans before in legend, but this was beyond what they had imagined. The alien commander decided on a desperate plan. "We will split the fleet into smaller groups," he said. "Hit them from multiple angles. Confuse them. Strike before they can react." Engineers scrambled to prepare the ships, boosting engines, rerouting power, and loading weapons. But even as they moved, sensors on the Doombringer tracked every signal. Humans had already calculated the likely escape routes and attack vectors. Every alien maneuver was visible before it happened. Elena smiled faintly. "They are predictable. Let's see how they handle precision." The Doombringer released multiple drones, each one small, fast, and deadly. They struck simultaneously from different directions, disabling engines, firing disruptor beams, and creating chaos among the alien formations. Even with stealth drives, the alien ships could not evade. The humans had anticipated every move, countering each strike before it began. Desperation turned into fear, and fear into chaos. Alien ships collided, shields failed, and debris floated through space. HFY's command room shook with every impact, officers scrambling to maintain control. They should not be able to do this, he muttered. No species should be able to anticipate every move like this. But the truth was clear, humans were not like any species he had faced. Captain Drake's voice echoed across the bridge. Maintain pressure, but do not destroy them all yet. Let them learn their lesson. Humans did not merely fight, they taught, they dominated, they instilled understanding of the cost of underestimating them. The Doombringer hovered above the wreckage, a silent sentinel watching the panic unfold below. HFY realized the grim truth. Humanity was not just strong, they were intelligent, patient, and terrifyingly adaptable. For the first time, he felt the weight of their legend. The Doombringer was more than a ship. It was a weapon of strategy, a ghost that haunted every calculation, every plan. And no matter what he did next, the galaxy would remember this day. Above the stars, the Doombringer moved silently, waiting for the next mistake. Humans had won the first battles, but the war was far from over. One thing was certain, the galaxy had underestimated them once, and it would never happen again. The alien fleet had dwindled to shadows of its former self, scattered and broken across the void. Commander HFY floated in the command room of his last vessel, staring at the Doombringer's black silhouette against the distant stars. The humans had predicted every move, countered every strike, and turned desperation into chaos. His voice, once commanding, now trembled. How can they be everywhere at once? Captain Elena Drake watched the battlefield calmly, her eyes scanning every movement, every signal. The Doombringer hovered like a phantom, its hull dark and silent, absorbing the faint light of distant suns. Around her, the crew moved with precise efficiency. They did not speak loudly. They did not panic. Humans never panicked. They adapted, calculated, and struck with surgical precision. "Captain," Lieutenant Kieran said, pointing to the holographic display, "they're making a final desperate maneuver. They're converging toward the neutral zone near the asteroid belt. It looks like they're trying for one last attack." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Let them. We will meet them on our terms." Commander HFY's remaining vessels formed a tight formation. He activated what remained of the relic's energy, a faint pulse trembling across the void. It was weak, barely functional, but in desperation, he believed it could be enough to turn the tide. "This ends now," he growled. "We strike or we die." The Doombringer moved silently, a shadow weaving through the stars. Captain Drake's hand rested lightly on the console, but her mind was sharp, calculating every angle, every possibility. "Prepare all systems. Full engagement. Let's finish this." The aliens fired. Energy beams lanced through space, missiles streaked toward the Doombringer, and the remaining relic pulsed weakly. But humans were ready. Shields absorbed the energy, thrusters dodged every strike, and hidden drones swept through the alien formation, disabling engines and firing disruptors. The relic's pulse struck a drone, but the effect was minimal. Humanity had adapted. Humanity had anticipated. HFY's desperation grew. Ships collided, shields failed, and panic replaced strategy. "No, it cannot end like this," he shouted. But even as he barked orders, the Doombringer anticipated the movements, countered every strike, and positioned itself perfectly. Humans did not merely fight, they controlled the battlefield. Captain Drake tapped a sequence on the console. The main energy cannon, hidden within the ship's hull, powered up. A low hum filled the bridge, growing louder, vibrating through the crew's bones. It was not just a weapon, it was a message. Every alien ship, every crew member, Every corner of the fleet would understand the cost of underestimating humans. The beam fired, a concentrated pulse of unimaginable energy. It struck the relic directly, destabilizing it completely. The remaining alien ships were thrown into chaos. Engines failed, systems shut down, and the remnants of the fleet drifted helplessly. Commander HFY stared at the devastation, realization dawning. Humans were not only strong, they were relentless, intelligent, and unstoppable. The Doombringer hovered above the wreckage, silent, dark, and unyielding. Captain Drake turned to her crew. "This is humanity's message to the galaxy," she said calmly. "We do not negotiate weakness. We do not surrender. And we will always be ready." Her words were more than a statement, they were a warning, a promise, and a legacy. The alien survivors, broken and terrified, tried to flee, but their numbers were gone, their morale shattered. Across the void, stories of the Doombringer would travel faster than light itself. The galaxy would whisper of the humans who struck fear into civilizations that had ruled for millennia. Peace, diplomacy, and threats, all had failed where human strategy succeeded. Commander HFY, defeated, looked toward the stars one last time. He understood, finally, the truth that humans had proven: they were predators, warriors, and masters of strategy. And their arrival in the galaxy was only the beginning. He would tell his people, if he survived, of the day humans came, and doom followed. Captain Drake stood at the bridge, staring at the horizon of stars. The Doombringer had delivered its message, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had arrived, not to beg, not to negotiate, but to dominate when necessary, to survive when threatened, and to leave a mark that no alien fleet could ignore. The stars were silent now, except for the hum of the Doombringer. A ship that had arrived as a warning would remain in memory as a legend. And somewhere, in distant systems, civilizations would whisper of the humans who had come in peace, or rather, in doom, and had shown the galaxy exactly what Earth was capable of. The Doombringer moved silently, carrying its crew back toward home. The mission was complete, the message sent, and the legacy begun. Humanity had proven itself, not by brute force alone, but by strategy, intelligence, and the courage to face the unknown. The galaxy had awaited peace, but Earth had sent doom. And that doom would be remembered forever.